It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. Thomas was chuffing along to go get his coaches, Annie and Clarabelle. The two coaches were glad to see Thomas. They wanted to go on a long run with Thomas, so Thomas pulled him out of the siding and chuffed off. Thomas spent all day whizzing through stations and up big hills. Later, Thomas was waiting at a station when Percy arrived to collect his trucks. "Hello, Thomas," said Percy. "I wish I could pull coaches like you instead of these dirty trucks." "Well, maybe tomorrow you will pull coaches," said Thomas. Just then, James arrived. "Make way for a splendid engine," he said. "Which means you need to get out of the way too, dirty Percy." Thomas and Percy were cross. "James, why do you always think about yourself instead of others?" "Who else is there to think about?" countered James, and he chuffed away to get his coach. "Why does James have to be so rude?" asked Percy. Percy did not like what James had said to him. "I don't know," said Thomas, "but we need to teach him a lesson." But when he saw the trucks next to him, Thomas got an idea. "James was just talking about how he says you are all dirty pieces of plastic," he said. The freight cars were cross. "Who is James to call us pieces of plastic? Let's teach him a lesson," they giggled to each other. Thomas left cheekily away. The next morning, Thomas and Percy were ready to execute their plan. "I need an engine to collect some freight cars by the station," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Percy, will you take them?" Now, Percy was ready to do his part of the plan and throw it off to James. "Sir, can James pull the trucks? He loves to pull them. He wants to pull them all day." Sir Topham Hatt was surprised, but he agreed. "Thanks a lot, Percy," said James angrily. "Now I have to pull some dirty cars," and he puffed away. Soon James arrived where the silly trucks were. "Hello, James," they said. "Ready to learn from the dirty pieces of plastic?" "Just stay out of my way and don't cause any trouble." "Yes, sir," said the freight cars cheekily. Soon James was coupled up with the cars and they puffed away. The trucks were still mad about what James had supposedly said, and they had their chance for payback when they came to Gordon's Hill. Soon, when James was at the top, the silly trucks pushed him down the hill. "Go on, go on, go on," he said, and pushed him down. On, screamed the freight cars. "Stop, stop," said James. "You're going to make me..." Poor James had been derailed. "Bother those trucks," he said. "They're just so annoying." Thomas came along the hill. "What a mess," he said. "James, are you okay?" He tried to keep himself from laughing. "Yeah, I'm fine," answered James. "I'm sorry for being rude to you and Percy. Please, can you help me?" "Sure, I'll help you, but you need to apologize to Percy on your own." When James was back on the rails, he headed to Timothy's sheds. When he saw Percy, he decided to apologize. "I'm sorry for being rude to you and calling you Dirty Percy." "It's all right," said Percy. Let's just not fight. Let's just be friends. I'm glad you guys are all friends again, but we need to get to sleep," said Edward. "Okay, Edward," he said, and they were happy. After a long days of work and friendships mended, they decided it was best to go happily to sleep. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. and all the engines were very hard at work. James was waiting for his coaches. "Hurry up, Thomas," he said. "I'm hurrying," said Thomas, and he chuffed off to go get his coaches. "Man, I bet another dimension is better than what I have to deal with." There was a tunnel right next to the siding with the coaches. It leads someone to another dimension. Sir Topham Hatt does not want people near it or to discover about it. Thomas was chuffing to get his coaches, is not even noticing that the siding was going to lead straight to the tunnel. Thomas was going, and then he noticed. "Oh no," he said. "I'm heading straight for the tunnel." It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor, and all the engines were very hard at work. James was waiting for his coaches. "Hurry up, Thomas," he said. "I'm hurrying," said Thomas, and he chuffed off to go get his coaches. "Man, I bet another dimension is better than what I have to deal with." There was a tunnel right next to the siding with the coaches. It leads someone to another dimension. Sir Topham Hatt does not want people near it or to discover about it. Thomas was chuffing to get his coaches, is not even noticing that the siding was going to lead straight to the tunnel. Thomas was going, and then he noticed. "Oh no," he said. "I'm heading straight for the tunnel." Suddenly, in front of him, was a plastic Thomas slightly bigger than him. "Hello," said the wooden Thomas. "I'm Thomas." "That's impossible," said the plastic Thomas. "I'm Thomas also." "Do you know where I am?" "Yes. We are on a little wooden railway. I'm a wooden railway train. I gotta show you to the others." And they chuffed off to see the others. James was just waiting impatiently when he saw not one Thomas come in, but two Thomases come in. James was stunned. "Thomas, since when did you have a second clone?" "This is a plastic Thomas from the Tomica Railway. He runs on a motor." "Well," said James, still shocked, "then maybe you can collect my coaches for me." "Okay," said the Tomica Thomas. He chuffed back to the side to go get his coaches. Now he noticed there was a magnet on the coach, and he figured if he hit it, then he would be able to go. But unfortunately he did not have a magnet, so the coaches did not go anywhere. "Bother," he said. So this time he coupled up behind them and then pushed them. Pushing the coaches was a lot harder than they thought. Every time he got to a fork, the coaches would just go the other way and mess up. It took Thomas forever, but when he finally reached the station, his battery was almost dead. Thomas was starting to get very sad. "I feel like I don't belong here," he said. "Maybe I should just go home." So he found the tunnel from where he came from and chuffed into sight. "I'm happy to come home," he said. When Thomas came out, he saw that he was back home. "Man, I'm glad to be home," he said, and he chuffed off to head back to the sheds. "You know, I learned something today," he said, puffing back to see Percy. "That no matter how much, you'll always miss home." Gordon is a big, proud steam engine who loves to pull the big express, and he loves even more to show how fast he can really go. Good morning, Thomas, said Gordon. If you don't mind, stop snoozing on the job and go fetch my express coaches. No, Gordon, Thomas said sleepily. I've been up all night pulling a night train, so if you don't mind, just give me a second. Humph, grunted Gordon. Those little engines need to show more respect to engines like me. Late that night, Sir Topham Hatt came to see the engines. More visitors have been coming to the island of Sodor, so we need to have scheduled more night trains. But with this, and only Thomas and Henry only have lamps, you guys will also need lamps added to you as well. It is not safe without lamps. Workmen got to work putting all the lamps on all the engines who did not have any lamps. Except for Gordon. He did not want to wear the oversized, ugly blackened lamp. I'd rather not, he said. Even if it risks my own safety, I am not going to wear that thing. So, for the rest of the week, Gordon spent the rest of the time pulling his day trains. Without his lamp, even if the other engines were. Sir Topham Hatt heard about the news. When he did, he was very cross. It is unacceptable that this Gordon will not refuse this lamp. He will have to the next time he pulls a train. He soon heard the news from his driver. Come on, Gordon. Let's put your lamp on you. You have to pull a very special night train. But I don't want to wear that ugly little lamp. It feels weird and is all blackened and ugly looking. No arguing this time, Gordon, said his driver. Sir Topham Hatt says you must. So Gordon came onto the turntable and puffed away to go to his coaches. But Gordon really did not want to wear it, so he came up with a plan. When the conductor blew his whistle, Gordon made a sudden jerk forward, knocking off the lamp. And that is where the lamp will stay for probably the rest of the night. Chuckled Gordon. Now I don't have to wear that ugly little lamp. He puffed away. Gordon was going well without his lamp, even in the dark. He decided he could go faster. But what he didn't know is that earlier, a careless child accidentally dropped his coin out of the window. Coins are very dangerous. They can often derail a train if they're not careful. Gordon was going at full speed, and he didn't even see the coin ahead of him. He would have if he had his lamp. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Gordon wished now that he had his lamp with him. Oh, dear dignity, said Gordon. What will Sir Topham Hatt say about this? Gordon soon found out when Sir Topham Hatt came with the breakdown train. This is a very unacceptable behavior of you, Gordon. You know you should have wore the lamp. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I understand they aren't the easiest thing to wear, but you must understand that the safety of this nighttime trains are important, and how the lamps are severely needed. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. So now Gordon always wears his lamp when he pulls trains, no matter what time of day. It was Halloween on the island of Sodor, and all the engines were very excited for the big Halloween party. Now all the engines were getting ready, dressing up as their costumes. Thomas was going to be a ghost. Percy was going to be Percy Jackson. James was going to be Iron Engine. Gordon was going to be Super Engine. And Henry was going to be a creeper. Hey Thomas, are you excited for the big Halloween party? Of course, Percy. Who wouldn't be? Replied Thomas. I mean, it's obvious that everyone is. Just then, Sir Topham Hatt arrived with some important news. I know you're all excited for the Halloween party, but the flying caper has been left at Knapford Station. I need an engine to move it immediately. Henry, will you please take it to the net station? Yes, sir, said Henry, and he puffed away to go get the flying kipper. Soon Henry arrived at Knapford Station, where he saw Edward with the flying kipper. Edward was going to be Ash Chuffam for the Halloween party. Wellsworth Station should be a nice place for the flying kipper for now. Okay, Edward, said Henry as he backed up onto the train. Whenever that owl hoots, said Edward, a mist rolls in. There's a legend about that says when there's a mist about, there's a ghost about. Take care, Henry, especially considering it's Halloween. Don't worry, Edward. I'm not that scared. Though he was. A little. But the faster Henry chuffed to Wellsworth, the more mist started to appear. Suddenly, something darted in front of him. What was that? Cried Henry. Don't worry, Scaredy Engine, said a freight car. You still have us to be safe with. Oh, be quiet, snapped Henry. I'm not that of a Scaredy Engine. So Henry puffed on. Soon Henry arrived at Wellsworth Station. Ooh, what was that? Cried Henry, not knowing it was a freight car. Why, you little dirty pieces of... Ooh, boo! Ah, oh my gosh, it's real. Oh no. Henry was sent flying from the power of the ghost while the flying kipper was left in rubble outside of Wellsworth Station. All of the engines were now at the Halloween party, but they were waiting for Henry. Thomas, where's Henry? Asked Percy. He should have been here by now. I don't know where he is, said Thomas, but he better hurry, otherwise he's going to miss the biggest Halloween party this year. Ah! I don't think he'll be late, said Percy. Henry had the most shocked expression on his face, almost like he had just seen a ghost. Henry, aren't you all right? Asked Thomas. Get away, you ghost! Okay. Soon Henry was put back on the rails, but he still remembered the ghost he had saw, the ghost engine. So he tried to enjoy it. The other engines had a good time. The engines on the island of Sodor love to pull special trains.
but they often go to Thomas, leaving all the other engines to do his dirty work. One day, Percy was pulling Annie and Plarail while Thomas was taking the very special elephant train. It's not fair. I'm left to do Thomas's jobs while he goes off pulling some random special. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for Percy at the Farquhar station. Hello, Percy. How was your day? It was terrible, sir. I had to pull Annie and Clarabelle and a bunch of freight cars. That should have been Thomas's job. Sir Topham Hatt laughed. Please, sir, can I pull a special for a change? And maybe one of the other engines, too. They both want to pull a special. Thank you, Percy. I will take that into mind. The next day, Sir Topham Hatt had important news for engines. I scheduled no trains today, that way we can focus on organizing the yard. But however, the Prime Minister of England has required us to take this very special train of explosives, so I need an engine to take that train. All the engines buzzed about in excitement. Sir Topham Hatt is bound to pick me, said Thomas, excitedly. Don't you always get the special trains? Grunted Gordon. Of course he's going to pick you. But he didn't choose Thomas. Sir Topham Hatt chose Percy instead. Percy, please be careful with the special, because the explosives are, well, very explosive. Yes, sir, said Percy, and he puffed away eagerly. Why does Percy get to pull this special train? Asked Thomas to Sir Topham Hatt. He doesn't normally get to take the specials. Besides, his accident record is quite lower than yours, Thomas. And Sir Topham Hatt left after that. Thomas was very cross. Soon Thomas arrived at Knapford to receive his special job. The station master told him, I want you to take these empty trucks to the Vicarstown station. Thomas was very, very cross. First, he didn't get the special train, and now he had to take a bunch of empty trucks to the Vicarstown station without even trying to go to the mainland. So Thomas backed up on his train and set off. Thomas grumpily puffed along his line with his empty trucks. It's not fair, he complained. I always take the specials. Why can't I take them? But he was so busy complaining that he missed a signal that was red, and up ahead was Percy with the explosives. He was waiting at a crossing. Thomas came around the corner. Oh no, cried Thomas. He applied his brakes, but it was too late. Unfortunately, pretty much everyone on the scene was hurt. Trucks, engines, and even the workers inside the cabs. Oh dear, said Thomas sadly. What will Sir Topham Hatt say about this mess? He found out soon enough. Thomas, this is an absolute disaster. We are now 2 engines down, and all the explosives are blown up. So you will stay in the sheds for an entire week as your punishment. Well, of course, after you're repaired, of course. Yes, sir. I'm very sorry, sir. Soon, all the engines were loaded onto some of Harvey's cars, and Harvey puffed away with Thomas and Percy and all the ashes. It was one of the most quietest rides ever.